Your phone is not neutral. Your phone is designed to keep you scrolling. It's designed to keep you passive and numb. It's a violent battleground between your conscious mind, your life, your goals, and a trillion-dollar machine designed to psychologically manipulate you into wasting hours, days, weeks, years, even decades of your life consuming meaningless content. And I hate to say it, but you're losing. If you're watching this video, I'm willing to bet that you're addicted to your smartphone. Recent stats show that nearly half of all American adults consider themselves addicted to their phones. And if you're anything like me, you've probably tried countless methods to keep yourself from getting distracted and sucked into the digital realm with little to no long-term results. For many of us, this starts to feel like a personal failure, like you must personally just be lazy or have a lack of self-discipline. But there's a deeper, more insidious reason why quitting feels impossible. Today, I want to go over the most common methods people use to reduce their screen time, why they're often so painfully ineffective, and address the elephant in the room: the real reason you can't stop scrolling. This one goes out to my ADHD, dopamine-addicted, exhausted baddies who just can't seem to find a long-term solution to this problem. I'm here to tell you it's not your fault and talk about why. We'll start by talking about one of the most common methods: apps. There's a plethora of apps and programs available for this purpose, some of the most common being those that track your screen time. You can usually set them to remind you when you've been using your phone too long, or even lock you out of certain apps if you've been spending too much time on them. Oftentimes, your phone might have these built in as digital well-being or Apple's screen time. For some people, even just seeing the amount of time they're spending on their phone is enough to shock them into better habits. However, I think for many of us, we're gonna need a little bit more help to get out of this. I also tried the pop-up reminder variety, which force you to wait a set amount of time before they allow you to open a distracting app like Instagram or TikTok. These were easily the most infuriating for me. Personally, if you make me wait an entire minute just to reply to a friend's DM, I'm gonna lose my mind. On top of that, they were super glitchy for me. You'd leave the app for a split second to check something, take a screenshot, copy an authentication code, and then the moment you came back, you'd be locked out again. Instead of reducing my screen time, it just caused so much friction around legitimate phone use, and it actually made my screen time go up. Eventually, I was so annoyed, I just turned it off. I also tried the variety of apps that brick your phone, so to speak. These are the ones that lock down every single app except maybe calls, texts, and maybe a couple of other basic tools like the calculator for a certain amount of time. But this wasn't super effective for me either. Some other common methods that people use to reduce their screen time include, but are not limited to, putting your phone in another room or in a drawer, using a smartwatch instead of carrying your phone with you, deleting social media apps, minimalist phone launchers that don't have any app icons, or making your phone grayscale. Long story short, there are literally an endless number of methods that you can try. I've tried all kinds of things, but ultimately I always ran into one of these 4 roadblocks every time I tried something. It was either too costly, too glitchy or difficult to use, interfered too much with legitimate phone use like calling and texting and using maps, or it just didn't work to reduce my screen time. So for me, this told me it was time to try something more drastic. In 2025, I got myself the Cat S22. It's an absolute beast of a flip phone running Android. And from my understanding, it was traditionally designed for construction workers that needed a phone capable of withstanding being run over by an excavator, I guess. There's a handful of other options out there for this type of device, but for me, it seemed like the perfect fit. I needed to at least be able to call, text, take photos, stream music, and navigate all on the same device. Everyone has their own needs, but these are my personal non-negotiables. On paper, the Cat S22 sounded perfect. And at first, it was amazing, and it was actually kind of fun too. Everything was quieter. My phone became a useful tool rather than a machine that ruled my life. Somehow, I didn't feel nearly as much pressure to respond to texts and notifications immediately. And since the phone wasn't really powerful enough to run social media apps, it kept the temptation to use them at bay. But unfortunately, reality hit hard for me. I still needed authentication apps for school and work. I needed my grocery delivery apps, because your girl is autistic as hell and you will not catch me in a grocery store, a functional browser for Googling important info, and other tools like Facebook Marketplace, which I really found myself missing. If you know, you know. Most of these tasks were difficult or plain impossible since the phone was so painfully slow. Texting on the 2-inch screen was miserable, and the 9 key was so glitchy it just wasn't viable. Calls sounded awful and nobody could ever hear me. The navigation barely functioned and I constantly found myself taking the wrong exits by accident because the phone glitched at the exact wrong moment and suddenly I was on the wrong road and now my commute's an extra 20 minutes. It was really frustrating. Just a little editor's note here, I was shooting B-roll for this video and thought I'd show you how slow this phone actually is so that you know I'm not exaggerating. I timed how long it took to open Google Maps and it took almost 2 minutes just to search for a place nearby. Same situation for opening Spotify, almost 4 minutes just to play one song. This was my everyday experience for 6 entire months. I wanted this to work so bad, but this just is not the solution that I wanted. And more than that, I felt weirdly socially isolated. People stopped calling as much. Group chat conversations on social media continued on without me. I'd find myself constantly left out of jokes because everyone saw the meme that somebody else just shared, except for me. I thought I'd be more immune to this problem as somebody surrounded by people who actually supported my decision to stay off social media. But ironically, I constantly found myself bombarded with complaints about how I never responded quickly anymore, and I was so hard to reach outside of in-person hangs. It was a double-edged sword. On one hand, I did find myself with more peace and quiet here and there, but I was also just left out. And I was so tired of everyday tasks being so difficult. But even worse, when the scrolling stopped, my life didn't magically fill itself with meaning. Before I got my flip phone, I had all these big dreams of what I was gonna do with all that time I had now that I wasn't scrolling all the time. Surely I'd finally finish that crochet project I've been procrastinating, clean out my closet, and go to the gym every day, right? Right? To my dismay, I didn't become a productivity machine. I didn't feel happier. Sometimes I just stared at the ceiling, or slept, or just felt bored in a way that wasn't restorative at all. It just felt empty. For all these reasons and more, I did eventually end up switching back to my regular smartphone after about 6 months. It's time to acknowledge the ugly truth that so many people just aren't recognizing when it comes to cell phone use. We live in a capitalist hellscape that prioritizes profit over human well-being, and your phone is psychologically engineered to capture, harvest, and monetize your attention. Your distraction is profitable, your time is currency, and they count on your exhaustion after 40, 60, sometimes 80-hour weeks for some of us, long commutes, and daily stressors to make you too tired to do anything but scroll. So even when screen time goes down, fulfillment doesn't automatically go up. We're constantly being fed this message that if we could just stop scrolling, our lives would be 100 times better. But that's assuming there's something waiting on the other side to replace all that scrolling. And for many of us, especially in a world stripped of third spaces, community, and accessible joy, there just isn't. What used to be baked into our society in the pre-smartphone era simply doesn't exist anymore, at least not on the scale that it used to. So the phone fills a void that already existed, and we slowly lose touch with our hobbies, our real-life connections, even our own thoughts and feelings, furthering the problem in our own lives. In my opinion, the evilest and most insidious part of smartphone culture is this. Carrying a smartphone is no longer an option, it's an expectation and a requirement in many circumstances. So your phone is simultaneously a necessary tool that you need to carry out daily functions, and also a portal to an endlessly hungry algorithm that feeds on your attention and desperately needs you to be addicted to it. Do you see the problem here? We built so many social norms and systems around the assumption that everybody is constantly reachable and online. We used to have physical maps in our cars, payphones on every corner, and social supports that made it possible to exist without a smartphone. Those systems are largely gone, and at the same time, the social expectation has shifted. People assume you can be texted, DM'd, airdropped, location shared, or sent a link at any given moment. If you don't have a smartphone or even just social media, you're opting out of distraction, sure, but oftentimes you're also opting out of connection, education, essential tools, and sometimes even safety. Trying to self-discipline your way out from under the thumb of these trillion-dollar tech giants and win your time back while living in a society that's systematically failing you is not a fair fight, and losing that fight is not your fault. For me, a simple phrase changed everything about how I approach my smartphone addiction. Add, don't subtract. Let me explain what I mean. I realized that as long as I framed my new habits around the idea that I needed to deprive myself of the social media habit that I'd been engaging in for so long, it would always feel like I was missing out. I was engaging in a battle of the wills with myself, and treating my phone as if it was something I could control, restrict, or negotiate with. This mindset would never be effective long term, and I knew something had to change. So I changed. Instead of asking myself how I was going to subtract my phone usage from my day, I started asking myself what I could do that would even just be 1% better than the endless scroll. Once the question stopped being, how do I restrict myself even further, and became, what could hold my attention in this moment and treat me a little bit more gently than this endless feed of short-form content and nonstop noise, everything shifted. On some days that meant doing something genuinely productive, joyful, and fulfilling. Going to the park, hanging out with my friends, or getting absorbed in a really good book. But on other days, it just meant choosing the least harmful option available. It became all about baby steps. Just getting one step further away from the endless scroll and one step closer to genuine fulfillment. I was done fighting against my own psychology. It's almost like we're doing it backwards. Most of us try to reduce our screen time with no clear direction, and then try to fill the time left over, which leads to a feeling of emptiness and increased cravings for those hits of dopamine you're so used to getting from your phone. In my opinion, we should find better, more fun, and more fulfilling ways of spending our time first, and our screen time will reduce naturally over time. The more I asked myself this question, the more I found myself drifting further and further away from the endless scroll. I started with small shifts at first. Long-form YouTube videos, podcasts, and documentaries instead of reels, TikToks, and shorts. Then eventually bigger shifts came along, like going back to school, traveling, and making new friends. And eventually I did finally pick up that crochet project where I left off. Here's what I want you to take away from this video. This is not an individual problem, and it never was. The more we frame phone addiction as a personal failure, the more power we hand away to the systems that cause it. The truth is that every moment you reclaim, every small choice to disengage, and every speck of joy you find outside of the digital realm is an act of rebellion. Would it be better if we could all simultaneously stop using social media forever and forget it ever existed? Probably. And if you chose to chuck your phone into the river tomorrow, you'd probably be better off for it. We could starve the system entirely. But since that's not a realistic option for most of us, think about it this way. True power comes from collective shifts. Imagine what could happen if millions of people collectively reduced our screen time by 10, 20, 50%. What kind of power would we have if we reinvested that time back into taking care of ourselves, taking care of our communities, and rebuilding what we once had? All that to say, we don't need a handful of people doing it perfectly. We need a ton of people doing it imperfectly. We don't need a handful of social media purists. We need an entire population of people fighting back and rebuilding just a little bit every single day. And if we stop blaming ourselves and start building better communities, better systems, and start demanding better from the people in charge, this doesn't have to be the future forever. Your time, your attention, and your life are all so much more valuable and so much more limited than you think. Choose where you want to spend them wisely. If this video resonated with you and you're also trying to rethink your relationship with your phone, I created a free PDF linked in the description that you might find helpful. It's a list of doom-scrolling alternatives listed by energy level, because not every day looks the same. Some days you might have the energy to conquer the world, but other days it's a struggle just to get out of bed. This PDF covers all of it. You can download it on your phone, so the next time you find yourself doom-scrolling when you should be doing something maybe just a little bit better for yourself, you can pull up this PDF and find an alternative right away. The idea is that no matter how you're feeling, there's always an alternative that's going to feel a lot better for you. If you want to check it out, the link is in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe if you maybe want to see more content from me, and dare I say, maybe hit the notification bell so you can be notified next time I upload. Seriously, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye!